And we're going to start with something that you and I have lots of fun with, which is music rhythm games.
Yes, especially Rock Band.
Rock Band, well, pretty much only Rock Band, I suppose.
We've dabbled.
We've dabbled. Guitar Hero is what launched it all. Do you know first Guitar Hero was 2005?
Really?
It feels way too long ago.
Damn. I don't think we were into it then.
No, I picked up Guitar Hero 2 when it was near the end of its life. And that's what got me into everything after that. That's what got me into playing actual guitar.
I think my first rhythm game was Boom Boom Rockets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, we should try to find that again.
Oh, man.
I wonder if they would have had that on the Xbox One store.
That was interesting playing that with a dance pad.
Yeah. Me and Corey were in the other room looking at the computer. We come back into the living room after we've been a night of drinking. Chris just lying on the floor next to the dance pad. Got a little too much alcohol flowing to the brain after that one. So before we dive too far into this, don't forget to go to podcast services and subscribe there. Or if you're listening to this in a podcast, go to YouTube and subscribe there. Share the love. Let us get some numbers. We got a new subscriber. Did you see that? We're at 4. And it's a random person. I think it's our first rando, which is it's a milestone. It's just the trickle before the flood, you know? So yeah, we mostly just play Rock Band 4 now. And when we do, it's always the night ender.
Mm-hmm.
We play it until we pass out. But I just hooked up the Xbox 360 Ion drum kit, the big special semi-professional electronic kit that plugs into Rock Band, and I had to get the big adapter, the expensive adapter, I should say, to be able to plug in the old stuff into the new console. But that kind of led me to the other topic of games like this actually being teaching tools.
Mm-hmm.
You got interested in playing the actual drums through Rock Band.
Yes.
And took a few lessons and all
I
that.
actually took some lessons. But in general, I'd say they need more innovation in that regard to those peripherals and instruments.
It's hard not to make them super expensive, and
that's the problem.
Sort of inaccessible.
The balancing is the cost versus how cartoony or how accurate it is kind of thing.
Because you could put a lot of money into it, making it a legit training tool, but then it's like, well, why didn't you just buy
That's kind of like
a real instrument?
Rocksmith did that, I believe.
Yeah, so Rocksmith.
But I don't know how it did long term. I don't think it did particularly well.
I have actually talked to a few non-gamers about Rocksmith that I've randomly came in contact with, mostly through music stuff, and some of them, found it useful, if not to actually teach guitar, but more just to kind of learn the subtleties that they might not have thought about, like just the way songs are structured and where on the neck of a guitar you go to do certain things.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of show you like how a musician might be putting together a melody or a chord progression. And as you play more songs and kind of dive into it that way, you could actually learn that these things are just patterns that get repeated in a lot of songs. Like there's an actual just kind of formula when it comes to most music.
Yeah.
And those songs kind of expose that formula by just like literally showing you over and over how it's all kind of put together. But you have to kind of want to learn at the same time. It's not so much of a game as it is that game.
That one's more of a teaching tool.
That's a teaching tool for sure. And I think the cost of getting into that is pretty high because you do need to buy a guitar. But if you want to learn guitar already, you're going to buy a guitar.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool thing that way. I don't know if there's really any other examples I can think of where like a real world thing can interact with a game in a way that teaches you like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, when rhythm games had their first boom, it's pretty unsustainable the way they were going. Because there's pretty much a game there's 2 games a year I would say at the peak or more. What was all the offshoots that the Guitar Hero and Rock Band had with you had Beatles games, Metallica games, reboots of the original games.
Plus just the numbered games like literally Guitar Hero 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it was called World Tour or something. Where
Rock
they started
Band 1, 2, 3, and 4 now.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't really sustainable. It's not
They started pumping out like 2 a year.
Yeah, you burn out your
competitors
group
as well, so you needed 2 full sets of instruments.
You burn out your group, your core, because they're not going to be interested. They'll be like, well, it's pretty much the same game as what I just had.
Yeah.
And then once you have downloadable content, it becomes more of a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason.
It's one of those games that never should have had really another iteration. It should have just been always release more songs.
If it was more of
and upgrade the game.
A 2-year thing. Every 2 or 3 years, they release a new one with an upgrade to the gameplay or the instruments or et cetera, and in between, you're just doing what Rock Band 4 is actually doing now, which is basically just coasting on DLC.
Yeah. I wouldn't even...
You don't need new games.
I don't know what you would do in Rock Band 4 to make it even... Like, why release another one kind of thing? I don't know what they would be able to change. I don't like that they took away certain features that we liked in Rock Band 3. But they have expanded Rock Band 4 to bring a few things back. I really miss the more in-depth character creator for sure.
Yeah, they just released the new multiplayer add-on or enhancement to the game.
Rivals.
But I wouldn't mind seeing a new version of Rock Band with different skins. Maybe go more realistic.
Yeah. Actually, there's a Rock Band VR. I don't know if it's already out or they're still working on it. I think it's just PC. But that's like the perfect kind of game.
Yeah, that would be.
Especially if you could like have your drums like mapped out so that you can see them, but you actually hit them when you hit and you have your sticks visible and all that. That'd be a really fun experience. You actually like have this,
that would probably help you teach a bit better too.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that would suffer as much of the problems of like your perception. If you're sitting there and everything is mapped out as it is and all you're doing is hitting that and you're not moving around.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't
a game
really
like that's
have a problem.
Pretty much perfect for VR, where it's like you don't have to go anywhere. You're just confined to this space. Even playing guitar, I mean, you could just stand still.
Yeah.
You're not going to be...
But I think
it could be kind of fun walking
the
around.
guitars could probably use some work in how they're done in the game. I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
But it's just the way it is now. It's 5 buttons. It's not teaching you anything really.
It's nice for
maybe
rhythm.
More of a up and vertical on the controls would be great.
They tried doing that with Guitar Hero, which we should break out at some point. I got the newest Guitar Hero. I don't hear anybody ever
talking
about that one, but it had 2 sets of 3. So it did have the vertical buttons, like 6 buttons total, but 3 and 3. So you kind of try to emulate more chord shapes that way, I guess. It confused the shit out of me. It was really hard to play it. It's like learning just a whole new way of doing, but you're so ingrained with this 5-button system that you've always played with, and then you're like, oh my god, I suck again. It was really difficult. I wonder how it would be if I ever got good at that and then trying to go do both, switch back and forth between the 2 systems. Probably be alarming, trying to go from legacy to standard controls in first-person shooters.
That's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.